welcome to Advocacy, where ideas take shape, thoughts find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. One of his advocacy to be the Mr. Productivity, other than Mr. Mark Struczewski. Welcome on Abstract as Mr. Mark. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Well, I don't know how much you want to know about me. I've been on this planet for 60 years. So can you tell me more about specifically what you want to know about me?
Well, something you want to share to the world, Mr. Mark?
Well, I have been in productivity since about 2011. And I love helping people get unstuck. I love helping people who think that they don't have time discover that they actually have time.
Interesting. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Mr. Mark, thank you. And today let's talk about being you, being proactive as well as a podcast host. So tell us, let's define our terms. What does being a proactive host mean to you, and how is it fundamental different from just being a prepared one?
Well, proactive means you're not going through the motion. You're not on autopilot. You're actually using this thing that sits between your ears called the brain, and you're actually thinking. So a lot of people that I see in my business is they're on autopilot and they stay in their comfort zone, and then they wonder why they're not achieving their wildest dreams. That's because they are stuck on autopilot, and we don't want to be on autopilot. We want to be proactive. And that may mean you have to get outside your comfort zone or way outside your comfort zone in order to achieve your goals and your dreams.
Interesting. Mr. Mark, beyond basic research, what does your deep live process look like for understanding a guest's work, their niche, and the unspoken questions the audience is asking?
Well, you just answered the question, probably inadvertently in your question. You discover people and their dreams and their desires by listening. And I think that the art of active listening is sadly missing in our world today. People want to talk and talk and talk, but when you're talking, you can't hear somebody. So when I'm with a client, I spend more time listening than I do talking, because once someone starts talking for a while, then you start realizing, oh, now I understand, here are their challenges, or here's where they want to go.
How do you mentally and strategically prepare to guide a conversation that is both insightful for the expert guests and accessible for listeners who might be completely new to the topic?
I don't ever rush it. I think one of the things I see in the world today is everyone seems to be in a hurry. They can't wait to get to the next program, the next podcast, the next book, or the next post on social media. And I think there's something to be said is just slowing down. So, for example, before I get on a coaching call with a client, I will take 5 or 10 minutes and just make sure all the distractions are put away and that my mind is focused. I may go for a quick walk, or I may do some meditation or something, because it's really important. In order for me to best serve my clients, I've got to be fully present, and I've got to be able to be in a state that allows me to hear what they're saying, because their words may be saying something else, but the meaning behind the words could be shedding light on something that's really important.
Mr. Mark, what is your method for finding the golden thread? The one unique angle or through line that will make this interview different from every other of the guests has done.
Are you talking specifically to your interviews?
While your interviews, well, both of
Whenever I'm on
us.
a podcast with somebody, I'm always listening to what they are saying and what they are asking, because In order for me to be of service to you, because you know your audience better than I do, the host always knows the audience better than the guest does. And in order for me to serve you and them, I need to listen to your questions carefully so I can give great answers. And I don't always give great answers. Sometimes I don't have anything profound to say, but I always try to make every interview unique.
Unique and different in each episode, for sure. So let's talk about the on strategy and craft, Mr. Mark. How do you strategically structure your questions order? Do you follow specific, like conceptual, personal, or practical to build momentum and depth?
You mean on my own podcast?
Yes, please.
Okay. So right now I'm not doing guest interviews, but I've done over 200 guest interviews on my show. And I don't do scripted questions. I don't prepare any questions. I don't use AI to come up with the questions. I very rarely will actually do any research on the person because I want it to be a fresh conversation. My goal is always to ask questions that the guest has never been asked before. And again, I've already repeated this, I'm repeating myself here, but if you are an active listener and you start pulling on the threads that you see during the conversations, you can go down a different avenue than if you did prepared questions that you might have missed. So for me, I think, and this is going to be sacrilege to a lot of people who are podcast hosts, and they're going to disagree with me, and that's okay. I think less preparation is better because when you prepare, most people are asking the exact same questions that everybody's ever asked them. And I want the conversation to happen organically.
Organically, for sure. So, can you walk us through your process for crafting a powerful, open-ended questions that invite a story, not just a soundbite?
Unfortunately, I can't because every conversation is totally different. So if I were to get on a conversation with someone after this interview, it would be different than if I did another one 3 hours from now. So I approach every conversation as a clean slate. I don't have any process other than being an active listener. I'm a fan of simplicity. And so I like doing things as simple as possible. And that seems to provide the biggest results.
Simple, simple indeed. So, Mr. Mark, silence can be awkward, but also powerful. How do you use pause and silence proactively to encourage a guest to go deeper rather than just rushing to fill the air?
It's trying to push back the temptation to speak. But although I understand the power of silence and pausing, a lot of the podcast players now will automatically eliminate those silences. So you may be on an interview and be asking someone, and there may be a pause, and you may leave that pause in there. But if the listener is listening on a podcast player that automatically removes those pauses, it sounds kind of awkward because you're pausing and you're waiting 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds for them to repeat something or to give you some profound information. But that podcast player has taken that 20 seconds and eliminated it. So I think there's something to be said that I understand the power of the pause, but if the podcast player is going to eliminate it, then you've actually it's not helping you. And so when I listen to a podcast, if I hear silence, I skip over it because I don't have time for silence. And on my podcast, when I have podcast guests on my show, I will edit all that out because it's very awkward for the audience member to be on a run, on a walk, on a plane, and then they don't hear anything, and they're like, "Is there something wrong with the podcast?" So I don't on the interview, I may do it, but when I'm pushing out the final product to the internet, I cut all the silences out.
So, Mr. Mark, tell us about your website. Welcome to Mr. Productivity. What is all about?
Well, again, my whole passion is to help people get unstuck. So I created this free productivity scorecard. And what it does in just 10 simple questions, you can go through and find out where you are. And then I will send you the score you got. And then at that point, you can decide, hey, I want to jump on a call with me, or okay, thanks for the information. So that's the whole crux of it. But I see a lot of people struggling in their world, and I want to help alleviate their struggle just a little bit.
How do how do you proactively build a container of trust in the first few minutes of an interview to make a guest feel like safe enough to be vulnerable and share their best insights?
I just start having a conversation. If you ever listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, they literally just they hit record and they just start talking. Instead of doing the introductions and all music and sound effects, I just start having a conversation with people. And that immediately puts them at ease. I think so many people are overthinking having conversations, whether it's on a podcast or in real life. Just be yourself and just start having a conversation.
So let's talk about the active listening and adaptability. How do you balance the need to stick to your prepared question, or if you don't prepare anything, with the flexibility to abandon them and flow the fascinating, unexpected thread of guest introduces?
I just let the conversation happen, but if it goes way off topic, then I will gently steer it back to the topic. But the guests I've had on my show are professionals. They've been on numerous podcasts, and they have no trouble whatsoever sticking to the topic because they come on and we're going to talk about topic X, and they very rarely stray. So I've only had a couple instances where people got off the rails, but that very rarely happens.
Once in a blue moon, yes. So the podcast that you are talking about, is it the same with the productivity you're talking about on your website?
Yes, it's the Mr. Productivity Podcast. It's available everywhere. And right now, I'm releasing episodes every Monday. They're 15 to 20 minutes long, and they're just me. I'm not having guests on the show yet, but that's what I'm doing.
So, what is a specific verbal or nonverbal cues you listen for? The signal, I guess, is about to share something truly profound.
It varies. There is no one or two or three specific signals. It's just if I pick up something in the conversation, this is the act and the art of active listening. They may say something that causes me to be curious and to go down that road and pull on that thread. But I can't name a specific cue.
So, Mr. Mark, what are your short term and long term goals as a podcast host?
Well, my whole podcast is to build brand for the Mr. Productivity brand. That's what the whole thing is about. That's why my website's mrproductivity.com. It's the Mr. Productivity podcast. So the goal of the podcast is number one, to help the listener to get unstuck, to get more clarity, to be a more productive version of themselves. And the second one is to obviously, I'm a productivity coach. So I want people to listen to the show and get blown away by the information I've shared on my show and on your show. And they go, well, let me check out this guy's website. Oh, maybe I'll follow him on social media. Maybe I'll sign up for his email newsletter. And then after all that's done, I'm still proving myself. Then they may go, you know what? I'm going to set up a call with this guy. It's a journey, but that's what the long-term goal of the podcast is to build my brand.
To build a brand for sure, and good luck to your goals and looking for more success, Mr. Mark. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Just live your life. Stop living the lives of your parents, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors. Live your life because you only get one shot at this thing called life, and you want to live your life, not somebody else's.
Yes, authenticity. People, be authentic. And thank you for that advice, Mr. Mark. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Well, my favorite book, a book that I have read four times, and it's actually helped me become a morning person, is by an author named Robin Sharma, Sharma. It's called The 5 a.m. Club. Even if you don't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, the book is phenomenal. I highly recommend it.
Definitely, truly, truly recommended, people. And thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Mark. How do you use a guest's own words to create a powerful follow up questions on the fly, showing you're truly engaged in the conversation?
Again, I keep going back to it. It's just about active listening. I can't give you an example right now because it depends on what the guest said right before I asked my question.
The work is not over when you stop recording. What does a proactive post game analysis look like for you to continuously improve your hosting skills?
Well, I do my own podcast editing. So what I do is as soon as I finish with the podcast, I edit it. I put it up on my podcast hoster. I create all my social media posts for when the episode comes out. And then I go on to the next one. I try not to overthink it. I do highly edit my podcast. I want it to sound as best as possible because I don't want people to waste their time listening to mistakes or saying ums and so I edit all that stuff out. It probably for a 15 to 20-minute podcast, it probably takes me about 6 or 7 minutes to edit it because I edit it at 2x speed. And when it's done, I move on to the next thing I have to do.
How do you proactively study the masters? Is it the specific interviewer, or do you deconstruct the learn from the what you have stolen from other people or from them?
No, I just listen to other podcasters and I listen to what they're doing, especially the top podcasts in the world. I listen how they intro, how they outro, and how they talk to the guests. So it's again, I try not to overthink things. I like simplicity. There are people who go take podcasting courses and all this, but for me, that doesn't work. For me, if I want to learn from the best podcasters, I go listen to the top podcasters because there's a reason why they're the top podcasters.
Definitely. On audience connection and impact, how do you proactively keep your audience needs at the forefront of your mind during an interview, ensuring the conversation serve as them as not just your own curiosity or the guest ego?
It's all about removing the fluff, removing the irrelevant information, removing the things that are not going to serve them, and just sticking with the content that they can take and go implement.
Direct to the point. Beyond the interview itself, Mr. Mark, what are the proactive steps a host can take to build community around their show, transforming passive listeners into active participants?
You just have to keep marketing it. You got to put it in your email newsletter. You got to talk about it on social media. You got to talk about it with your friends and family at the church, the synagogue, the mosque, whatever. Just keep talking about it. And then you'll get people to be interested enough to say, oh, let me find that podcast. And I'll check it out. And that it's a long process, but you got to get people to listen before they're going to do anything. And what I find is, again, I'm a fan of simplicity. Just don't try to force it. Just share what you're doing, and the right people will want to listen and take action.
Yes, people share to the world regularly. Consistency is the key. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, Mr. Mark, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in third season. I'm a book one on review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 fourth season. I'm a baby podcast law 101 and mental health 101. Love letters in fourth season, as well as my movie 101 review and music 101 and science 101 and sex 101 in its second season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Mark, for a listeners who is convinced but overwhelmed, what is one single non-negotiable first step you would tell them to take this week to start their journey for being a podcast host?
I would encourage your listener to go out with a notebook and a pen, someplace quiet. Do not be on your phone and just freeform journal. Just write down all the things that are on your mind, your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. Just pour it all on the page, because there's magic when you actually write this stuff down rather than just keeping it in your head.
Journaling, people, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Mark. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your podcast, your advocacy, or what projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, just head on over to MrProductivity.com, MISTER, MrProductivity.com.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Mark Struczewski, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Mr. Mark, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.